family is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, we got our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson, in the house from the KSTP Channel 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. And we just got the injury report here from the Vikings, so we'll get to that. But Doogs, you looks like your face continues to look a little thinner here. Awaken 180 has been doing you some good over the past few weeks.
Phil, I'm not on any sort of injury report. Knock on whatever. Yes, down nearly 15 pounds in the last month thanks to Awaken 180. Awaken 180 weight loss. The website is awaken180weightloss.com. As importantly, I have sustained energy. Mrs. W got home very late last night from a work conference in Las Vegas. Wanted to greet her when she walked through the door. Woke up early this morning. Hey, minimal sleep, still feel somewhat energized. Yesterday, Eastview High School, big Droogie 9th grade football game. I'm thinking, okay, they will play in the stadium. Nope. They were relegated to a side field. Well, yours truly forgot his lawn chair. Didn't have a lawn chair.
Oh.
Standing for nearly 2.5 hours. You know what? 3-4 months ago, I'd have been like, hey, I'll just sit on the grass. Like, I can't stand for that long. Yesterday at the football game, able to stand. Have solid energy thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. It's an easy plan to follow. There's no calorie counting, no workouts required. There's no medication. You eat to lose weight. They have thousands of recipes. So there's all sorts of variety. Had Chipotle for dinner last night. It's just about making sensible decisions. 3 months ago, okay, my chicken bowl had a bunch of stuff. Now just adjusting how to eat, why to eat, when to eat, right? The how and why behind the eating. They provide all the guidance. They know what they're doing. This plan works. The website, awaken180weightloss.com. Again, awaken180weightloss.com. The results are proven.
Doogs, let's start with the Vikings injury report that just came out here. There's a few headlines. I would say the number one headline is the Vikings starting center, Ryan Kelly, has not practiced each of the last 2 days with another concussion, which is not that shocking. It sounds like a separate concussion. There hasn't been a lot of information on it, but he had his fourth career concussion a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, missed a game, got cleared, came back, another concussion. So that's like a long-term conversation. Not surprising. But Michael Juergens, the backup center, has not practiced the last 2 days with a hamstring injury. So there's other things on this injury report, but let's just start there. Who the hell plays center for this team now?
Well, it would be Blake. Do we go? We tried to get to the bottom of this. Brandel or Brandel, because I've heard many people say Brandel. We'll go Brandel. Blake Brandel
just say fast.
Is your starting center. Yes. I mean, if Michael Juergens, and hey, when you can't practice Wednesday plus Thursday, hamstring, we know how tricky a hamstring injury is. Blake Brandel. And that means Joe Huber, expected left guard. So left to right, we are looking at Christian Darrisaw, who did not practice today, but I would not worry about his status heading into Sunday. So Christian Darrisaw, left tackle, Joe Huber, left guard, Blake Brandel, center, Will Fries, right guard, Justin School, right tackle. Your main backups, Walter Rouse can play tackle. Actually, if in a pinch, Walter Rouse could play guard as well. Certainly has gotten reps at guard. And you have Henry Bird from the practice squad. Those would be your two main backups. There's maybe some other names behind those two, but those would be the two main backups, Walter Rouse plus Henry Bird. It is remarkable, Phil, how we've gotten to this point. The investment going back to the offseason, all the money spent on this O-line. Now, I suppose if you're looking for some sliver of hope, one, it is the Browns. Now, that defense is legit. Don't get me wrong, right? But can you scheme to get the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands fast enough? Can you find a way to win like a 13-10 type game? That, yes, it's a daunting defense, but all things considered, do you feel okay playing the Browns, then having the bye week to recover before the Eagles game. Okay, for the Eagles game, Donovan Jackson expected back. Brian O'Neill now placed on injured reserve. So we'll have to wait and see how he is October 13th, 14th, Wednesday the 15th. But there's a thought that Brian O'Neill doesn't need to miss 4 games. Maybe it's more than Sunday. Maybe it's more than 1 game. But that Brian O'Neill, it's not a season-ending type injury. Ryan Kelly, Phil, you're right. Those are long-term conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, what now, 6 documented concussions going back to Alabama? Do I have that number right? I mean, it's multiple.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking many concussions. So to me, that may be a conversation that takes place, Ryan, with his family when you're thinking about the long term. That's me speculating here on Reckless Speculation Thursday. I don't have any specific intel that Ryan Kelly is on the cusp of retirement, something like that. I'm just saying, thinking aloud, when you have that many concussions, 2 documented concussions in the last couple weeks, I just don't know at his age how you don't contemplate the long-term future.
On Brandel, he spoke with reporters, it looks like, today after the practice, and according to our friend Kevin Seifert of ESPN, he confirmed that while he has had a lot of practice reps at center over the past few years, he has never played the position in a game in his life.
Wow.
So that sort of just tells you where things stand right now. Now, I will say this before we write off the Vikings' chances. Yes, the Cleveland defense is good. Yes, Myles Garrett actually is on the injury report and didn't practice yesterday. And then throw in the fact that Dylan Gabriel is going to be making his first career start against a Brian Flores defense that has held rookie quarterbacks to a 1-9 record. So all hope is not lost. But, man, that offensive line, it just feels like something's gone wrong every single time. And I've lost hope. I don't think they're going to play together the original construction, Dukes. I don't think they're going to play one single game together, all 5 of those guys this season.
Yeah, I mean, as you say that in the moment, yes, my money would be on your original starting 5, Darisaw, Jackson, Kelly, Fries, O'Neill. Yeah, I would say it's hard to envision those 5 playing 1 snap together this year. I still feel like Darisaw was really close to playing in Chicago week 1, but it didn't happen. Okay, so yes, at this point, yes. I mean, I don't know how you would think otherwise. Just with the Kelly situation, how these 5 would play 1 snap together all year. Plus, Phil, the Andrew Van Ginkel neck injury. I mean, Judd, I know you put something on social media like around this time last week about pushing the panic button, but you brought it up in this space multiple weeks ago. Now, they haven't put him on IR, so they're holding out some hope, and I haven't heard that it's a season-ending type neck injury, but certainly concern about Andrew Van Ginkel, who at this point all signs point to him not playing on Sunday.
Remind me, so Darisaw is going to start at left tackle. It sounds like Brandel's going to start at center, and then Fries, and then School at right tackle. Who's the left guard to start?
That would be Joe Huber.
Joe Huber. Okay.
I'll tell you what. I mean, he was a stud at Wisconsin. I don't know exactly
he had a good
why.
camp.
Short arms, whatever. Like Joe Huber to me is a legit NFL player. We can debate whether week 5 he's a legit NFL starter. But to me, Joe Huber, regardless of not drafted, all that. Like, he's, to me, a legit NFL player. Now, maybe that's my Big Ten bias, but he was really good at Wisconsin. I'd love for you to pick the brain of Booney and those guys like on the O-line committee. I'm a Joe Huber fan. And so, to me, like, I don't think you're losing a ton there. Like, I don't think he's going to be, put it this way, Brandel stunk last week at left guard. He just did. Right, I don't know what the PFF grade was, all that, but just from the eye test. And hey, I'm the one who was saying, you go back to the first half of last year, Brandel next to Darisaw, Brandel was fine. He was more than fine. He was pretty good. But just in the moment of last Sunday, that game against the Steelers, Blake Brandel stunk at left guard. So I can't imagine that Joe Huber would be any worse. I think he'll be, in fact, significantly better.
Did one of you guys I'm just going through some of the beat writer tweets here. I know Judd brought up Seifert on Brandel confirming that he has had practice reps but no game reps. So that would beg the question, because the Vikings have been 1 hit away from a center going down in a game now a couple times, right? Okay, well, what if Brandel gets dinged or something? Then what? Well,
Joe Huber.
Joe Huber, Joe
can
Huber in
snap.
college has played a little bit.
And Henry Bird. So, I mean,
okay.
They have contingency plans in place, but, I mean, it's already a disaster in many ways. Could you imagine if, something like that happens? I also think, right now, all appearances are, just based on even the practice reports from today, that it was Brandel snapping to Wentz. Like, why wouldn't it be Brandel at center? But I think it's fair to have the conversation. Would you be better off with either Huber at center or probably more like Henry Bird or even Lee, like elevating one of those guys from the practice squad? Would you truthfully be better off with one of those guys at center compared to Blake Brandel?
So 2 weeks ago when Kelly was out and I was that was the last home game. So I watched the pregame warmups and who the quarterbacks were taking snaps from. The top three centers were Juergens was 1, Bird was 2, and Bird had been elevated from the practice squad for that game, and Huber was 3. So my guess is that if something happens here or Blake is just unplayably bad, that that Bird would actually come in at center and Huber would stay in at left guard until Bird, of course, then gets hurt because with the way the season's gone, who the hell knows? And then Huber would be, so Huber's choice 3, Bird is choice 2, Juergens is choice 1. At that point in time, Brandel was not taking snaps or he was just solely at guard. He's not doing anything at center.
Well, and remember, I mean, he came in as a tackle years ago out of college. And so I'm just saying, like, is it fair to have the conversation? Why would you put Blake Brandel in at center with such zero experience? Would you be better off starting practice squad guy Henry Bird? I'm just telling you, all signs point to right this second, Blake Brandel being the center on Sunday. But I'm just saying, can we have the conversation? Would it make sense to have Henry Bird at center on Sunday?
I think, it's there is no good option here, and my guess is Kevin O'Connell is leaning toward the offensive lineman that has been more immersed in his system longer versus like the actual mechanics of snapping a football and the chemistry with the quarterback. But that is not something to take for granted, Dukes. If they're going to run 55 or 60 offensive plays against the Browns, there is a very heightened chance of a snap going awry when you have a guy that's never done that before. That Kevin O'Connell, for all the talk in the first month of he needs to simplify things for McCarthy, simplify things for Carson Wentz, that has never been more true going into this game. And there is another domino to this is Myles Garrett did not practice with an ankle yesterday. We're still waiting as we record this for the Thursday Browns practice report, but he's kind of up in the air. He's certainly not going to be 100% for this game, but whether he plays or not, you can't have, like, I feel like the protections need to be very, very basic pre-snap protections, and you're running a much more simplified version of everything. And I think our guys on the O-line committee would echo that sentiment. Simplify everything.
Well, I mean, quick release throws, right? Like, I think about Aaron Rodgers last Sunday. Carson Wentz, I mean, we can destroy the O-line for the performance against Pittsburgh, rightfully so, but, I mean, Wentz still held the ball too long, too, against Pittsburgh, right? Yeah. So, like, the ball needs to get out of his hands incredibly fast on Sunday. And, hey, just find a way. The over-under is what? 33.5? The lowest over-under total in a long time, although week 1, that Jets-Steelers game was a pretty low over-under, and it ended up being a very high-scoring game. But, like, this is the lowest over-under total of the season. And so just find a way. I mean, Judd, you said it, right? I mean, flow dominates rookie quarterbacks. Now, I get it. Stefanski, heavy play action. Dylan Gabriel can get out of the pocket. He can move. Joe Flacco, 6 turnovers so far this year? I get why the Browns are doing this, but to me, if I'm a Vikings fan, if I'm the Vikings, I feel a lot better facing Dylan Gabriel compared to Joe Flacco. So just find a way to grind out a victory, get to 3-2, then reset. Speaking of some of those Vegas over-unders, did you guys see the over-under? At least it was one betting site. I don't know if it's across the board, but one betting site originally had 8.5 for the Vikings over-under win total. When I say originally, before week 1, that number has now gone down to 7.5.
Yep.
And I guess that's what happens when you lose 2 of your first 4 games, the softest part of the schedule, and you already have 2 losses.
So, Dukes, what's our thought here on the eventual return of JJ McCarthy? There was some conjecture that he might actually practice today. Now, the practice report says he did not. But as he slowly but surely comes back from the high ankle sprain, obviously he has to practice first for sort of the ball to start rolling for his potential return against Philadelphia or the Chargers. So, what's our feeling about that? Because to get him back on the field becomes the most important thing. And we talked about this a couple of days ago, too. The most important thing now is, can he stay healthy? Can he get on the field and stay there? Because we have now 2 games of sample size, which in fairness is not enough to judge him. But the problem is, look at the sample size of games he's missed. So I think that becomes the next question, and that becomes the next step is, when can you get him back on the field to protect himself with this offensive line? And then just as importantly, to get him reps that he desperately needs to get.
Emphasis on this offensive line, this makeshift offensive line.
I know.
JJ stay healthy behind. So let's fast forward to October 19th. Okay, Donovan Jackson back, but Brian O'Neill, big question mark. Certainly Ryan Kelly, big question mark. Like, can he protect himself October 19th? To me, is he able to even do anything tomorrow? Like, I thought today or tomorrow, if he gets to the limited status, I'm not expecting full practice, but limited status, then I feel pretty good about him playing October 19th. But if his first, full practice is Wednesday, October 15th, or close to, maybe that's a limited practice October 15th after the bye, then I'm not sure he's playing October 19th. Mm-hmm. So, I need to see that he can move around. I get it. He's progressing, right? KOC has said that on the record. But still, DNP today, okay. Something tomorrow, anything? To me, that will be the telltale sign. If he's able to be limited tomorrow, then I feel pretty good about him playing October 19th. If he's not, then I need to gather a lot more information right after the bye, starting on Monday, October 13th.
I think the lack of participation in today and yesterday's practice, unless they're flip-flopping the intensity of a Thursday, Friday practices are usually just walk-through speed in shorts, and so if you're a full participant, it doesn't really, or even limited. So I feel like him not practicing,
but he might ramp up a little bit. You're right, undoubtedly, Phil. You're right. But I would still feel pretty good if he's limited tomorrow. I get it. The Friday practice is not super intense. I understand that. It's Wednesday, Thursday. But I still need to see that he's at least limited Friday for him to have a real chance to play October 19th.
They did a walkthrough yesterday. They actually were far more intense today, and then we'll do a slow. But if and when he comes back, if he practices, he's only going to go through, I think now, individual drills. I don't think there's a plan to unleash him. I think they literally want to get him back on the field just to be handing the ball off a couple of times and doing things. So this is a very slow process, but that's where I'm with Dukes. If we don't trigger the process at some point in time, bye week, okay, he gets more rest, but then are you putting him back out there Wednesday before the Philadelphia game and saying, let's go get it? Or are you now saying the offensive line's in shambles and we don't really trust the process that you're going to be prepared to play? So this to me becomes a very important timeline, because until he is fully prepared to practice, I don't think he plays in a game, which is why I would just like to see him do something gradual today, which didn't happen, or on Friday.
It's amazing that we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
And hey, we've said it. I mean, to me, a big part of them winning 14 games last year was a good amount of injury luck, if that's how you want to term it. Mm-hmm. It's the complete opposite this year so far, right? Then you think about what's coming after the bye, right? I mean, Eagles, then Chargers on a short week. Now, who knows if Joe Alt will be back for that game. So, hey, it's across the league. There's been a ton of injuries. But then you have the Lions and the Ravens. Then what? The Bears and Packers. But over the course of 6 weeks, 5 games against the Packers, Lions, Ravens, Chargers, Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, considering all these injuries, now, hey, CJ Ham's in a good spot. I feel like they can use him. I'd like to think they activate him. I was told weeks ago he should be ready to go for the Browns game. So CJ Ham, full participant in practice today. make that move, activate him. He can help for 15, 20 snaps, whatever it is. Phil, I don't even know if they get to 60 snaps. Sounds great.
Yeah,
I don't even know if they get
when I said that, I was like, maybe like 45 snaps. Let's get there first.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think for sure 45, but I just don't know if they get to 60. Hopefully, maybe, I guess, if you're going short throws and can establish enough of a run game, maybe you have a 9, 10, 11, 12 play field goal type drive, right? So maybe you get to 55-ish.
This is so sad.
60. I don't know if you're getting to 60, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe, but I'm just saying, not sure. But Blake Cashman progressing well. Can he return for the Eagles game? Aaron Jones would still have to miss one additional game, so he can't play in the Eagles game. But my understanding is he's progressing well. So at some point, you get some of these guys back, right? At some point, O'Neal, don't know exactly when. Certainly not Sunday, but where's he at after the bye? Van Ginkel neck, yeah. I mean, Judd, going back to training camp.
Yep.
You were spot on weeks ago when you first pushed the panic button over everybody.
It's a tweak, Dukes. It's a tweak. It's just a small neck tweak. Those are never a problem.
Danielle Hunter all over again, right?
Feels like it.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, but it
Dukes,
feels like
I want to run there's another, speaking of panic button, let's just treat this like a therapy session here. I have a JJ McCarthy thing I want to throw at you in a second here, but shout out to Pepsi. All right, listen, let's stay hydrated out there with our Pepsi and this Justin Jefferson souvenir cup, which you can see on the YouTube channel. And on these cups, which you can get inside US Bank Stadium, you can get them now at Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations and at Buffalo Wild Wings. There is a QR code on the side of this cup, and when you scan it, you can enter to win Victor's Ride, a Polaris 1000 ATV that he will deliver right to the winner's house later on this season or in the offseason. So Pepsi, go get your Justin Jefferson souvenir cups. Scan that QR code, again, inside US Bank Stadium, Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations, and Buffalo Wild Wings. Pepsi, the official beverage of the Minnesota Vikings. Judd, you're a hockey guy. The World Juniors are coming to town. We're a big event town here, baby, and this is a big one for sure.
And this, in my opinion, forget the NCAA basketball tournament. This, in my opinion, is the best annual tournament in sports. It is the 2026 World Junior Championships coming to town December 26th through January the 5th at both Grand Casino Arena and 3M at Mariucci. The 50th anniversary of this great tournament, which hasn't been in Minnesota since 1982. Sports Dad was very young, but he did go. The best under 20 players in the world, featuring NHL future National Hockey League stars competing on ice right here in our state. Single game tickets on sale now starting at $39. Preliminary round and quarterfinal matchups available. The medal round packages will be released later. WorldJuniorsMN26.com. WorldJuniorsMN26.com to grab your tickets today.
So, Dukes, on the JJ McCarthy front, we're 4 games in. The NFL, man, it's a conveyor belt. It just you wait all off season, and it's like 7 months, but then it's like boom, you look up and you're already in week 5, and we're talking about McCarthy has not practiced yet, so it looks like to me he's probably going to miss the Philly game, but we'll kind of see. But here's my point.
I'm not there yet, Phil. I'm not there.
Okay,
because I've long thought he would be back for the Philly game. I need a little bit more info, but I wouldn't rule him out at this point for the Philly game.
But either way, since the 2024 draft, where he was selected 10th, Caleb Williams has played in 21 games now. Bo Nix has played in 21 games. Jaden Daniels has been dinged up. He's played 19 games and an NFC Championship game, Rookie of the Year. Drake May is showing some major flashes, 17 games under his belt already. And hell, there's a couple guys from like Cam Ward getting his ass kicked, but he's already played twice as many games as a starting quarterback as JJ McCarthy has. Jackson Dart is about to hit his second start here. We're getting to see some Jackson Dart. Dukes, we're a year and a half since the draft, and we are inching our way toward the halfway point of his second NFL season. We have no idea what he is. None whatsoever. He has 4 guaranteed years on his rookie scale contract. The Vikings have a 5th year option if they want. You're going to blink 3 times and be halfway through the guarantee portion of his rookie scale contract, and you're going to have no answers unless he gets back on the field quickly. And so I'm raising a red flag here that the quarterback clock continues to tick. All these other dudes from his draft class have played 17, 19, 21 games, and we still have no idea what JJ McCarthy is.
I'd like to think in 3 months, end of the season, maybe it's longer than that we have a much better sense of the player that JJ McCarthy can be. You're still a ways out from any sort of decision on the fifth-year option. To me, he would have to tank mightily to not exercise the fifth-year option. But I'd like to think, Phil, whether it's the Philly game or not, and I get it, that's a goofy week, right? Because short week with travel, Thursday night game in Los Angeles. So if he's not playing against Philly, I don't know how he's then playing against the Chargers. But at some point here in the next 3-4 weeks, we should. I've not heard of any sort of setback or anything crazy like that. So we will get JJ McCarthy back on the field. Then the question is, can he stay on the field? Can he sustain some sort of lengthy run? Can he play 5, 6, 7, 8 games without some sort of other injury popping up? But I'd like to think, Phil, we will get that book. And hey, I still fall back on his performance, whether in high school, in Chicago, at IMG Academy, the success at Michigan, Jim Harbaugh being so outspoken about the person, the player that JJ McCarthy is, that I'll defer to folks like that and still firmly remain bullish, very bullish on JJ McCarthy. But what you're raising, it's fair. Like, I'm not going to blow back at you on that. It's fair. But I'm just saying we should get some sort of book by the end of the season on JJ.
I think also in this discussion is the fact that, he's 2 games into a career, so we have no clue there. I find it laughable that people are giving up on him or whatever. But yes, he has to play. He has to play within this system. If nothing else, he's got to get the reps so O'Connell can expand them too. Like, I do think that O'Connell probably, and I think he's guilty of this just because he sees the game clearly. I think Kevin O'Connell is guilty probably of expanding his quarterback's repertoire before some of those quarterbacks are prepared. But that being said, that's where the season becomes so important, because opening day, then a 2026, like, we can't have the training wheels on in perpetuity. So and it might be a good year. They might come back. It might be a terrible year. But at the end of the day, he's got to have the repertoire. He's got to have the reference points that he so sorely lacks right now. And that's where I think O'Connell, unfortunately for him, is going to have to be patient. But there's going to come a point where that patience is like, okay, now we're going to turn it up to 10. Can you do this at a 10?
Well, and then it goes back to something we've brought up, but how does the locker room respond? So you're referencing 2026. So much went into success this year.
100%, yeah.
How does that change the dynamic of how the rest of this year is looked at? Some of these vets. Heck, think about Harrison Smith, who's been a part-time player through 2 weeks. He's still ramping up stamina-wise. It may be more Philly and onward. I mean, I don't know if Harrison Smith all of a sudden is playing 55, 60 snaps this Sunday, but I think about the structure of his contract. Yeah, he's making many millions of dollars, but he can earn multiple $1 million more based on a few factors, but including a thought that the Vikings could make a run to the Super Bowl, team success, right? And so you start thinking about some of those dynamics. It's fascinating to me. It really is. Not that JJ has lost the locker room or anything crazy like that. As far as I know, a lot of those guys still firmly believe in JJ, but at some point we need to see a little bit more than the fourth quarter against Chicago.
Absolutely. But when I talked about when McCarthy originally got hurt, and I talked about the locker room and going back in there if Carson Wentz is winning and saying we're going back to JJ, one, Carson Wentz has been okay, but he's not great. But second of all, that also was predicated on guys staying healthy. That was predicated on the run defense being much improved. So there are now a lot of things that have nothing to do with JJ McCarthy that are becoming problems, including the fact that, as you just said, unfortunately, and I think he's still a brilliant player on the field mentally, Harrison Smith, the body might finally just be going. So there's a lot of things that now, my feeling about the locker room becomes much different if Hargrave and Allen aren't pulling their weight, no pun intended, in the run game. If 3/5 of your offensive line is lost, Ryan Kelly is lost. So that's where you almost get McCarthy back in there. Yes, he might have to run a little bit more, but It's hard for those guys to get upset when they simply either aren't performing or not playing. So like this is where the dynamic changes to me completely from we're going to take this ready-made team and put a young quarterback back into. Unfortunately, that ready-made team now is at times a shell of what we expected.
Yes, and hey, how about some players that you thought would take a step forward that haven't so far? Think about Ivan Pace Jr.
Yeah,
right?
good
Like,
point.
So you think about some of those guys that you put stock into thinking, okay, they're going to be better this year. Well, entirely possible. They're not going to be better. In fact, they may be significantly worse in some cases. Then you think about all these penalties, right? Like, how fixable is that? I get it. It's a lot of pre-snap penalties. You'd like to think that can be fixed, but man alive.
It's
right?
hard
when
when
will
you're
that slow down?
It's so hard when I know that, like, when you're a fan, you're watching, like, what? This is your job. How do you not know? When you're Joe Huber, when you're Michael Juergens the last few weeks, even when you're a veteran backup like a Justin School, and you're not in there every week for 50 or 60 plays, and you haven't been working with the quarterback, the communication, especially when it's kind of loud and the play clock is running down and the defense is shifting and doing things, it's a lot to process, even for really good high-end veterans to not, have some communication issues. So stop. You got to clean it up pre-snap. That, yes, 100%, that would be great. But if there were ever an example of why it's hard to just clean it up and, Kevin O'Connell needs to be better, this is about as red alert as you get from an offensive line and quarterback perspective, what the Vikings have been dealing with the first 5 weeks. So,
I mean, even Darisaw too, right? I mean, Darisaw has committed multiple penalties.
Yeah,
well,
totally.
Right? I mean, he's still trying to get into the groove. I get it. Right? All those snaps he played on Sunday. Right? That's why we're seeing Darisaw rest multiple days this week. He has to be so worn out, right? Because, he practiced in August, but, like, that thing ramped up so much on Sunday. And, he played against Cincinnati, but I'm just saying, like, these Darisaw penalties, they stink, but I get it. I understand it. And so, when you're starting an offensive line of Christian Darisaw, Joe Huber, Blake Brandel, Will Fries, and Justin School, which all signs point to on Sunday, I don't know how you don't have at least a couple pre-snap penalties. Like, at this point, I fully expect that.
Yeah. So, wow, just a freaking dictionary-sized injury report here for the Vikings that we just combed through. Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News.
Dallas Turner
Sports
sick.
Department.
That was a new name today.
Yeah.
Now, illness, so I think he'll be okay for Sunday, but that's a new one. Even third tight end, Ben, is the pronunciation Urasek?
Urasek? Urasek.
Well, somebody told me it wasn't Urasek. I think it might be Urasek.
Urasek.
Then why are you asking us? If you knew.
He's out. That's a knee injury. I know. I'm the TV guy.
Out.
I know. I should know pronunciation. That's why I throw it out there.
We're just podcast idiots. You're the real pro here.
Why? Undrafted free agent, but firmly won the number 3 tight end job. Like, knee issue. He's out. And so it's truly remarkable how lengthy that injury report is.
Yeah. Boys, all right, we gotta run here, get to a Thursday episode 2. Plenty of things happening on the Purple Daily podcast feed, YouTube channel. Click that like button, the subscribe button. And Dukes, we will talk to you again after week 5 here. Good stuff,
I like it,
man.
All things being said, boys, still think they win on Sunday, grind out a victory, get to 3-2, reset during the bye week.
Yeah, deep breath.
3-2 is not too shabby.
It feels worse than 2-2, potentially 3-2, but just get to the bye 3-2 and your season's still alive. So
I mean, heck,
all right.
Like Eagles fans are bitching right now, Phil. 31st ranked passing offense. They're 4-0. So just saying, right? Just survive September. Things ramp up October on. Find a way, get some of these guys back. Not all, but certainly some. And hey, let's get ready for that Eagles game on October 19th.
Yep. All right, Dukes. We'll catch you next week
for
the
boys.
Sports Dad. For Dukes, I'm Phil, and this is Purple Daily. We just want the Vikings to win one before we die. It's really tough right now.